Buckets. Hello and welcome into episode 74 of Two Man Game with Damon and Dom. I'm Damon, that's Dom, and you are a listener. It is Sunday, April 27th. We are here moments after the Lakers go down 3-1 to the Minnesota Timberwolves with some questionable calls at the end, according to Dom. If you're a Dom fan, if you side with Dom, that's what you'll think. But not the only game today that had a questionable ending. So we'll get to that. First, of course, it's been 11, 12 days, something like that, since our last episode. Lots of basketball has occurred. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I've been watching so much basketball these last few days. It's honestly love playoff basketball, love the atmosphere. Even with, even though things don't go your way, I just love watching the game and it is the game at its highest form. So I really love watching it. And I love that everyone kind of cares now too. Like you and I care all season. But now
Right.
everyone like in my house or I go out, they're like, "Hey, so like the Lakers, like what's going on?" Or like who's gonna win this year? Like they care. So that's really cool to see. But yeah, no, it's been good. My band's finishing up our record. We're almost done, so I'm very excited about
That
that.
is exciting.
And I can't wait to share that with everyone. And yeah, that's how I've been. How are you doing?
Doing all right. Mentioned it briefly before the pod. I sprained my ankle at work last week, but it's fine now. That was Wednesday. It's now Sunday, so the inflammation swelling has gone down and it's fine. I mean, it just hurt to kind of put weight on for a little bit. And even when it did not hurt, it felt kind of like tender, like if I did do something, it was like, oh, it feels like my ankle is gonna shatter. I can't do that.
Not a
But
good
now
feeling.
now I think it's kind of okay.
Okay,
Now that
good.
I've done nothing basically for like 3 days, so it's how
I've
it
been there.
goes.
That's what you got to do. Ankles are finicky things. You got to let it heal.
You
So I'm
can
glad
call
you're
this
feeling
my
better.
my flu pod,
Your
perhaps.
flu pod, my ankle pod,
Yeah.
sprain pod.
Even with the
Um,
sprained ankle, I'm still here. I'm still gonna show up.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Did you watch any of the NFL draft? I know that's really big right now.
I did watch a fair amount. I had basketball. I think sitting right here. I had a game I play open called Hearthstone. It's a card game, turn-based, so you don't have to pay like that much attention to it. Um, but I had basketball open on my. I have three monitors. Basketball open on another monitor, and then I had the draft open on another monitor. So I was really just taking it all in. Um,
Nice.
yeah, draft was wild. Lions picked a couple players that I know, a couple players that I'd never heard of. So, I mean that's how it goes.
Yeah.
The biggest story, of course, was Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur, who
I
was
even texted you about that because I was like, I saw it
uh,
everywhere. I was like, I don't even know who this guy is.
projected to be a top five pick, and then didn't go until round 4 or 5 to the
To the
Browns.
Browns, yeah.
After they already drafted another quarterback earlier too, which is kind of funny. Um, So yeah, apparently the thing is he didn't want to work out at the combine, and then he was like really arrogant in interviews, like I'm the best. And then people are, I guess, worried about his dad, almost in like a LeVar Ball kind of way,
Yeah.
like he's gonna be like all over the place, like you just say you gotta coach my son. So people are like, I'm good.
Gotcha. Well, thank you for the update. I didn't know anything about it, so thanks for telling me about that. But I know that we just mentioned the playoffs, but let's get some news just out of the way real quick, and then we'll
Hmm.
recap what's going on. So, do you want to take this first one? I don't know who this is.
Yeah. Five-star prospect and USC commit Elijah Arenas was in a very bad car crash Thursday morning. He got hospitalized, placed into an induced coma. The reports I read, basically he crashed into like a tree or something like that,
Oh,
and his
geez.
car was like smoking and firing, and people had to like pull him out of the car. Um, he's since come out of the coma, looks to make a full recovery. You might recognize the last name. This is Gilbert Arenas' son.
I was gonna ask. Okay, geez, that's
Yeah.
crazy.
So
Um,
we don't love Gilbert Arenas' takes, of course. I think we've made that pretty clear. But obviously, we don't want his 18-year-old child to be in a car accident. That's terrible.
yeah, that's crazy. Well, I'm glad that it seems like it's gonna make a full recovery. Obviously, that takes precedent over basketball. Let's just hope. I hope he's okay. That's insane. I can't imagine that happening to anyone. So, hopefully, he's able to play super well at USC.
USC man, first Bronny.
now.
Elijah,
Elijah, what
their
is
their
happening?
prospects go through some stuff.
I know, geez. Talking about going through some stuff. Let's talk about the Hawks.
Okay.
Well, we'll do a little bit of a play-in recap.
Yeah,
So,
let's talk about let's fly through the play-in.
yeah. So, seventh and eighth seed game was Magic versus the Hawks, and the Magic handedly beat the Hawks. The Anthonys, that's Cole Anthony and Anthony Black, had a great game off the bench. Cole Anthony has provided that spark off the bench for the Magic time and time again. So good to see that he's still doing his thing.
Not that consistently, but
Not that consistently, but when he does, that's why he comes off the bench, you know? I always think, why isn't he a starter? And then he comes in and I'm like, oh, he's not that efficient, I guess. That'll do
mm,
it. Um, yeah. So that was that first one.
yeah. And I think I accidentally deleted this. So nope, never mind. It's later. But yeah, the Magic played in the seventh seed. We in our prediction had them falling completely out of the playoffs. That didn't happen. But we'll get to why later because
Yeah.
it is kind of relevant in their first series. On the West side, Warriors and Grizzlies, they had a tough game, pretty close game throughout. But Steph and Jimmy, I think they combined for like 75 points to kind of put the Grizzlies away down the stretch. Classic battle between these two teams the last 5 years. Feels like they played a lot of big games against each other. And the Warriors come out on top again, as they often seem to do.
Yeah. This was the first really full game I think I watched of the Warriors, except for that Rockets game back before the end of the season. And like just watching Steph and Jimmy really do their thing. It was really incredible to watch. Like as much as we're not the biggest Warriors fans. It's kind of crazy how they put Quinton Post in, and they are like able to
Guys
like
playing a
play.
lot, man.
Yeah, so it's just it's crazy. These people we've never even heard of.
Guy Santos.
Oh my God, yeah, that was who is this guy? On the other side, back to the East, we got the Heat versus the Hawks to battle for the eighth seed, and Tyler Hero was the hero for the Heat again. He dropped 38 on the oh no, sorry. They played the Bulls first. My apologies. So the
Hmm.
ninth seed Bulls, 10th seed Heat played, and Tyler Hero and the Heat just kind of decimated the Bulls. It really could never come back once they got the lead. And then they played the Hawks for the eighth seed.
Yeah. Um, we didn't think the Heat, we didn't think it was their year, but they proved us wrong again.
They
Eric
always
Spoelstra,
find a
they
way.
always do it. We always think
Yeah,
they're gonna not be there, and then they were. Bye bye Bulls. Terrible game for them. Terrible season. I mean, not a
yeah.
terrible season. The ending of the season was kind of fun, but again, like we always talk about the Bulls in ending in mediocrity, um, right in the middle instead of at the bottom or at the top. So,
Yeah, they couldn't even make it to the playoffs to get swept. Come on.
right. On the other side, 9-10 matchup, 19 Kings, 10 seed Mavs. We thought the Kings were gonna take this one. Mavs destroyed them. It was an ugly game. Not fun to watch.
It was actually crazy, right? Like it was kind of crazy how bad the Mavericks played because they were playing so good. They played so well before. Who'd they be? I don't remember. Anyways, I don't know.
Yeah,
Oh
and
no, no,
then
no! The Mavs beat the Kings. Right. The
yeah,
Mavs were like they don't have Kyrie Irving, but I guess they were just able to lock down. The Kings just played. I was watching a lot of them down the stretch, and I mean, DeRozan, Levine, no spacing. Sabonis doesn't provide spacing.
the
It's
Bulls of the
Kings.
West.
Yeah, it's hard to watch the Kings with all after the trade deadline. I don't
Yeah.
know how they're gonna fix it, but
Well, I
again, that
know
was
that it's not going to be through Monty McNair because after they lost and fell out of the play-in, apparently he and the organization mutually agreed to part ways. So not a firing. They both said we're good. Um, Spent the last 5 seasons with the Kings, won Executive of the Year in 2023 when they made the playoffs for the first time in 16 years. And now their new general manager is a guy named Scott Perry. If you look at this guy, I really don't like the way he looks. Um, just
okay.
look up a picture. Like the picture I saw of him, I was like, oh, I didn't like looking at his face.
I got you. I
Anyways,
got you. I'll look.
he was their vice president of basketball operations for a grand total of 3 months, 8 years ago, and then he went over to the Knicks, worked there for about 6 years, and then hasn't worked in like a year or two. So now he's back.
This picture?
That's not the exact picture, but yeah, I really don't like the way he looks.
Yeah, it's interesting. Interesting looking guy. Um, back to the East. So this was a crazy game. It was Heat versus Hawks to secure the eighth seed, and the Heat were able to win in overtime.
Mm,
And I mean, I've loved Davion Mitchell since he was on the Kings, and sad to see him leave the Raptors because I like the Raptors. But man, he was just the Hawks were like, Davion, shoot your three, shoot the three, we'll let you, and he's almost sunk all of them. I feel like, you know.
yeah,
It's crazy. Davion Mitchell turned into Michael Jordan, as you so nicely put it, in our notes.
he was
And
so
then,
good.
yeah, no, he was incredible. I love that his offensive game is really coming around. His defense has always been there. After the Atlanta Hawks lost, they fired their general manager Landry Fields, and he's only been there since 2022. So,
Yeah,
like
pretty short
3 years.
leash.
Yeah,
And I can't say that he's done a terrible job. Like the DeJounte trade was I guess, an all-in on Trae Young kind of thing. Obviously, it didn't work out. Now they've since moved on. Got Dyson Daniels, who's looked really good. Jalen Johnson seems to be a really good draft pick. Reese Shea kind of came on later in the year. Um, so yeah, seems like a weird firing. Like I don't know exactly what else you expect him to do in that situation, but I'm interested to see whoever they hire if they go in a new direction.
yeah, me too.
Um, Back to the West, last playing game, the Grizzlies absolutely destroyed the Mavs. So thought this one was maybe going to be competitive after the Mavs played really well against the Kings, but it wasn't. And then I did want to spend a little bit of time talking about Nico Harrison because we've had many press conferences, multiple press conferences since the last podcast. At first, it was a private press conference, and apparently it was the owner of the team, Patrick Dumont, that wanted this private one. So basically, it was just Mavs people and Mavs people that they specifically wanted there, and that was it. Um, and apparently, the reports from that is that he kept mentioning defense wins championships, and he said it like 5 times throughout the thing. So again, kind of defending the Luka trade. And then there was a public one, and the public one was kind of a disaster. He said a couple things that stuck out to me. One of them was, I quote, I did know Luca was important to the fan base. I did not know quite to this level. End quote. And then he said, also at the same press conference, quote, I've never actually spoken ill of Luca at all. End quote. So, it, stop talking. Just cut it out. Okay. Stop trying to defend the trade you can't defend. It's clearly not working. Made a trade, a win now trade didn't make the playoffs. So not ideal. And then I sent you the picture of
Dude,
the face he's making.
dude,
The the first time, by the way, the first time that he's been in the audience for a game in a while. He's most games he spends in the tunnel, surrounded by security. I don't know if you've heard this or know this.
I do, yeah.
But in that game, he was actually out in the crowd watching, and then they're getting absolutely destroyed by the Grizzlies, and it just shows him on the camera, and he's just like,
Dude, the side eye is like so
this.
good. It's like you know the move of the monkey, like the monkey looks this way and then like kind of turns around,
Oh
like the
yeah, yeah,
clock monkey. No, I have noticed that he goes to away games and he sits in the crowd in away games.
yeah.
Like when it was Mavs Lakers in Los Angeles,
Oh yeah,
like
seen it.
there was a thank you Nico chant that happened in the
That's
audience.
so good.
Yeah, that was just disappointing to see. It was like a totally different team that game, you know, Grizzlies Mavs, but Grizzlies, I mean, they're the better team. They were like the fourth seed a week or two before the end of the season, so they went in as the eighth seed into the playoffs. And I think it's time just to dive right in,
Let's
right?
go. Let's talk
Let's go.
about what we've seen in the playoffs so
Yeah,
far.
let's do it. Let's do it. So I also just before we go into it,
Yeah.
how just to let the listener know how you and I have kind of handled the playoffs. Usually, if I don't watch one game, Damon's watching one, or we'll kind of text. We were texting all the time, like who's watching what game, watching what, and kind of flipping between some of the games. Some of them, I mean, are like they're blowouts. We get it. Like I haven't watched a lot of Cavaliers
We
Heat. We're
watch
gonna
a
talk
little
about
bit and we're
that.
like, all right, well, I don't think I need to
Yeah.
watch this one actually.
Yeah, exactly. And then or we'll switch over to one or the
My
other if
least
it's like really
favorite is when they
close.
have the game at 6 and then the next game at 6:30, and it's like
Yeah.
I got to stagger or figure out which one to watch.
Yeah, and then they have like you're watching the game and then in the corner they have the other game
The
like
score,
score.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then it'll get close, you'll switch over, and then another one will get close and it's just Anyways, we're trying to cover it all. There's a lot of basketball happening and it's beautiful, but we got things to do as well. So,
Lives to live,
got exactly. So the
bands to
first
run,
bands to run
ankles to
and
sprain.
ankles to ankles to ice, ankle medicine to take for ankles that is sprained. So the first, this has been pretty uneventful, but the first seed Cavaliers, eighth seed Heat,
Wait,
currently,
can I make a couple of general remarks before we go series by
please,
series?
please, please,
A couple general remarks I want to make that I think are important. All these series have gone 3 or 4 games, depending on the weird scheduling. Like I know when we get to Rockets Warriors, we just played our third game yesterday, and like 3 game 4s also happened yesterday, so it was really weird. Because for some reason we took 2 days off. I don't know why. Another general remark I want to make: physicality has been amplified in many of these playoff series. I could think of Knicks Pistons specifically. I can think of Lakers T-Wolves specifically. I could think of there's one more that's escaping my mind.
Clippers,
Rockets Warriors.
Nuggets.
Rockets Warriors has been really uh,
Okay,
physical, and Clippers Nuggets. Yeah, like
yeah,
literally every series, and that's good. I think it's a good thing. I like physicality. I like defense. I like allowing the players to play. We actually might be going a little too far. Like there's been altercations, almost fights, etc., in many of these games because I think they're allowing them to be so physical. But I think the issue is not necessarily the amount of physicality they're allowing, rather, it's the difference in physicality that they allow in the regular season compared to the physicality that they're allowing now. So, like, the jump is so stark that I think that's why players are getting kind of frustrated and it turns into a thing. Because in the regular season, they're like, come on, this is clearly a foul. Like, that's what you always call this a foul. But now that we're in the playoffs, you're not calling certain things a foul to like an extreme degree. Um, so I just want to point that out. A lot of physicality, a lot of low scoring games in comparison to some regular season games. A lot of defense being allowed, sometimes maybe a little too much defense. So I think it's been an adjustment for the players and the coaching staff on how they kind of game plan in a lot of these series because it almost seems like a different game entirely. The amount of physical and kind of slowed down the game seem to be. So I just want to point that out as we go through because I think it pretty much applies to all the series.
yeah. No, I totally agree. I've definitely noticed that as well. The low scoring is one thing that really jumped out at me. A lot of these games barely making 100, if at all.
Hmm.
And other thing I want to mention too is that I feel like the officiating, I feel like all the referees are allowing this physicality to
Hmm.
happen, but there's still like a disconnect of some games they're letting some fouls go and some games they're not. So like the teams have to adjust mid-game,
Yeah.
which has been I can't imagine playing against that. It's like last game you didn't call that and now you are, so it's
It's got to
uh
be not an easy job for sure, getting the consistency not only within the games, but every game is a different officiating crew.
yeah.
So how are you supposed to know? Like, across the playoffs, there doesn't seem to be any kind of widespread consistency, and it's hard. It's in replays slow down. I think we clearly see things, but when it's happening in real time, right in front of a referee, I imagine it is difficult to see if that was a foul or not, or
Yeah.
how is the wrist slap is typically a foul, but like if you grazed him compared to like you slammed into his hand, what's the
Or
level?
or or even like when the ball is part of the hand. So if you hit the hand, but the
Mm,
ball is right there, like that's not a foul technically. And I feel like that's kind of thrown around willy-nilly. And it's like it either is it or isn't, you know? It's
yeah.
not. So I don't envy being a referee.
You know what I think could easily get consistent on though?
Hmm.
Technicals. I
Yes.
think the way they address technicals is different per player. Like they let certain players, Draymond Green, get away with a lot more before issuing them a tech.
Literally.
Literally clapping in a referee's face. Whereas some players don't do that much and then they get a tech.
Yeah.
Like, just make the baseline for what gets you a tech and call it every time.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Thankfully, we haven't seen any ejections, I don't think, in these
No, I don't think
playoffs.
so.
But we have seen quite a few
There's been a
techs.
couple, almost, couple
Yeah,
almost ejections. All
absolutely. You got to be careful for sure with playoff basketball.
right, how do you want to do
But that
this? How
being
do you want?
said, we'll just take each series. Boom,
Okay,
boom, boom. Right?
okay,
I feel like yeah, and
yeah.
we'll chime in with what we got. But
Sure.
Yeah, first series we'll talk about Cavaliers Heat. It's first seed versus eighth seed in the East. Currently, Cavaliers are up 3-0. I believe they play tomorrow. Cavaliers might make a clean sweep in Miami.
Yeah.
During this series, Evan Mobley won Defensive Player of the Year. Was he your choice, I believe?
I don't think so. I don't remember. Let me go
I th
look.
He's definitely on our top three. I remember
He
that.
was up there, but you know what? I think I had Lou Dort.
Okay. I
Just because
remember.
the Thunder's defense was really good. But I'm not, I'm not mad with Evan Mobley. Not
No, no,
mad
no.
at that
He's
choice.
he's a great young player. He's taken a lot of leaps this year, so congrats to him for winning DPOY.
Yeah.
And yeah, in this series, the Heat are just looking overmatched. It's Cavaliers have so many weapons. DeAndre Hunter's playing amazing. Ty Jerome coming off the bench.
Jerome, he had 23, I
Yeah,
think, in game one, career high
yeah.
or
It's
something like
just
that.
yeah,
Awesome.
it's just incredible. And then Donovan Mitchell like took over a game. I remember I was watching a game and the
It was
Heat
game
tied it.
three, I think.
Yeah.
Game three or two. No, I think it was two.
Well, yeah, one of them, and he just took over. He just scored like nine straight points, and I was like,
He
"That's
scored like 10 points in like 2 minutes. Yeah,
yeah."
it was awesome.
So, yeah, they're just playing great basketball.
Won game three without Darius Garland, by the way.
Did they? I did not see that.
Yeah.
Wow. So, I mean, just credit to the Heat. They made it as a 10th seed into the playoffs. Maybe they'll get a game, tomorrow. But if not, it's tough. Cleveland's a great team. They have the
Yeah.
best record for a reason.
No surprises there so
Yeah.
far. Other next series in the East, Celtics Magic, 2-1 right now. Celtics are up. Uh, One game two without Tatum, by the way. He was out for game two with the wrist injury. Came back for game three and they lost barely. It was a close game, 2-point game, I believe. During the series, it was announced that Peyton Pritchard won Sixth Player of the Year. I forgot we said six man. We did our pod. I forgot to change it player to represent WNBA as well as the NBA.
I was
But
about to say it sounds wrong. I feel like we're missing a word there. I
yeah,
guess that makes sense. The sixth player of the year.
yeah.
Okay.
That is who I had. I think you had him second.
Yeah.
Um, so shout out Peyton Pritchard. He is the fourth Celtic to win Sixth Player of the Year. Dom, can you name the other three?
Okay, first question, are they well known?
Two of them. I mean, all three of them are well known. I
Yeah.
guess I don't think one of them you would guess as a Celtic or a person off a bench. One of them is like 80s Celtics, pretty well known guy. Used to coach the Rockets,
Oh, Kevin McHale.
Kevin McHale. One of them
Okay.
won like 2 years ago. Uh,
Uh, it's not Marcus Smart.
Not Marcus Smart, that's defensive player.
Not Terry
Currently
Rose.
currently on the Wizards, I think.
Malcolm Brogdon. Malcolm Brogdon. I
Malcolm
remember that.
Brogdon, there
Yeah,
you
yeah.
go.
And then the other one is he like 2000s, I'm
Other one,
assuming.
I'll tell you this: he won an MVP award on the Portland Trailblazers, but
Oh,
also won Sixth Player of the Year on the Celtics
MVP on the
later in
trip.
his career, I think.
Yeah, on the Blazers. I mean,
Passed,
gosh.
passed in like the last, passed while we did this pod. 'Cause I remember talking about it. Like
Oh my
passed away.
God. Oh, are you serious? Oh my God.
Yeah,
Oh, wait, Bill Walton?
Bill Walton. Yeah,
Really? Wow.
yeah,
Okay. I always assumed they were like starters, those
yeah.
like people. So
Um,
congrats to him. Congrats, Peyton Pritchard.
yeah. That's a good company to join, I guess. Malcolm Brogdon's a little weird, but the other ones are whatever. Um, And this series, I think, has pretty much gone. Game four actually just started. I have it open on my other monitor. The series has gone pretty much how I thought it would go. I think the Magic just don't have enough offense to keep up with the Celtics. Paolo has been pretty good. Was pretty not good in game one, and then the other games he's been okay. I remember a stat I looked at. Paolo and Franz were both the only the two leading scorers for the Magic in game one. Do you think you can name their third leading scorer in that game?
Anthony Black.
No,
Jonathan Isaac.
Jonathan Isaac. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm surprised you guessed him that early.
I'm literally just naming people I can think
How
of.
many
Yeah.
points do you think Jonathan Isaac had to be their third leading scorer in game one?
I'm gonna say like 9 or 10.
Yeah, it was seven.
Oh.
So,
Oh.
so yeah,
And they lost that
then they
game? They lost
lost.
that game?
They lost. Yeah, surprising. I know. They just don't have enough around Paolo and Franz. KCP still not shooting well.
I wanted to talk about him because it's just unfortunate. Like he
It's
was
such a
so good last
not
year.
good season. It's sad.
Yeah, I haven't watched a lot of Magic, and then the playoffs I've been watching the games. I'm like KCB gets the ball at the three open. I'm like, he's got it. He's missed. I don't think I've seen him make a three these
Yeah.
playoffs yet. When I've watched, and it's just unfortunate.
Out here starting Corey Joe at point guard. Um,
Yeah, I was like, what is happening?
it's rough. It's rough for Magic. It's rough. No Suggs, of course, he's out.
Yeah.
Anthony Black and Cole Anthony come off the bench, but they're kind of small for the Celtics. Big
hmm
big lineup. So the Celtics they did lose a game, but I think for the most part, I'd be surprised if they lost another.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the game three was, I mean, it was a 2 point win
Yeah,
by the Magic, and it was really, it was 95-93, if I
yeah.
remember correctly. It was very close, very defensively orientated, and um, Celtics, I mean, they just kind of look winded, and they could have won, so
Yeah,
it's fine. Celtics will win the series, but we'll see if they can at least win today and then finish it up in Boston.
we'll see if the Magic can beat them up a little bit for the next
Yeah.
round.
Exactly. Yeah, please. Just to kind of try to stop them, you know?
Yeah,
Next we got, okay, this series has been the next two have been really entertaining in the East. We got Knicks as the third seed, Pistons as the sixth seed. Before we really get into it, I just want to first say like shout out to the Pistons for winning a game because it's
yeah,
not this Knicks team is not easy to beat. So congrats to them. Jalen Brunson won Clutch Player of the Year also, I believe, after game one, like they announced it.
yeah.
And you really saw that in was a game three, I think I watched. He was insane in the clutch. It's
hmm
incredible. Um, Real quick, what are your thoughts on Jalen? Everyone kind of saying Jalen Brunson is overrated and he's foul baiting too much and all that. Do you think it's really that bad, or he does a little bit as much as anyone else, but it's just because he wins, it's amplified?
Every year we get to the playoffs, and there's one, I think, player or team that is like an UG to watch. It's been Jalen Brunson for me. He's been that guy this year. It is foul baity, the thing I hate. He does the pump fake jump into you thing for the offensive foul. He falls constantly, like he's just falling on the ground all the time. It's crazy. I remember I saw a stat during the first two games. I think he had drawn 25 fouls um, total, and I think the rest of the Knicks was like five.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So it's like, yeah, it's crazy. I've talked about this before, so I won't spend that long on it. But I think fouling in basketball is somebody doing something they're not supposed to do. It's not supposed to be something you look for as an offensive player. I think you're just supposed to try to score, and if you happen to get fouled, you get fouled. But you don't search for the foul. Yes, I know that all the great players do it. Shea does it, Luka does it, Jokic does it. Like everyone does it.
Yeah.
But it has really stuck out to me as Brunson so far, especially because I think the Pistons are such like hard-nosed defensive team um, that they're kind of not allowed to play the way they want to play. And there's been a couple calls that I'm like, really? Like one I can think of, I don't remember if it was game one or two. Amin Thompson was, I'm sorry, Asar Thompson was guarding him on the inbound, and he like Asar was like this, like backing up his arms like this, and Brunson just kind of ran into his arm and like hooked his arm and kept running, and then they called a foul on Asar Thompson. And I was like, okay, I don't understand that one. Um, so yeah, I think it has been. I mean, it's probably maybe been a little too amplified, but I definitely see what people are talking about.
Yeah. What I miss is the NBA. I think last year in the beginning of the season, they really were calling offensive fouls on players. Like I remember Steph Curry like getting offensive fouls called a lot because he did that a lot, and they just kind of stopped. And
Hmm.
I'm really upset about that because I haven't seen that call being called in a year or two. And
Yeah.
these are offensive fouls. You're jumping into someone like that. That being said, I agree. I didn't think it was that correct. Like Jalen Brunson does it, but I don't think it's that much more than anyone else. So everyone just kind of keeps talking about how he's like an overrated clutch player because he's just drawing fouls. I'm like, it's not also easy, you know? But anyway, sorry that was just a little bit of a tangent, but there's a
No, yeah,
narrative I
it's a
kept
good
seeing.
question.
So back to the series. So Knicks took game one, which was crazy because I feel like all of these games, the Pistons have led for a majority of the game, at least at the end. And
Hmm.
then the Knicks took game one thanks to 21-0 run in the fourth quarter. 21 points to zero.
The young team showed their youngness a little bit.
Yeah, Cade Cunningham just was they locked in on him and they could not get anything done. Pistons miraculously took game two thanks to like a really great game from Cade Cunningham and you guessed it, Dennis Schroeder.
Playing great
Um,
defense.
Yeah, and just being like just like causing turnovers and just being a pest on defense, and that generates offense and transition points, at least getting fouls and going to the free throw line. So shout out Dennis Schroeder. I know he was acquired in the middle. He was on four teams in 24 hours, but uh
Modern day slavery. We'll never
modern
forget.
day looks, but he looks good on the Pistons.
Mm.
Game three, the Knicks won. Even though the Pistons were winning most of game three, the Knicks just kind of were able to edge them out toward the end. I think it was a very well fought game.
No, I
Uh,
think the Knicks were winning most of game three, and
that's
the Pistons kept like clawing back, but like it didn't really look like they ever had a chance. Um,
okay. I think
yeah.
I was confused with game two. It's probably what it was.
Hmm.
Um, and then game four happened today, and there was a very questionable call at the very end of the game. Did you watch this in lifetime?
No, yes and no. I like turned it on as they were basically reviewing it. 'Cause I just got home. But yeah, basically, Cade took a mid-range shot, missed. Players are fighting for an offensive rebound. Gets kicked out to, I believe, Tim Hardaway Jr. in the corner. Josh Hart is closing in, jumps at him, so he pump fakes, and then he jumps, and Josh Hart is like basically hitting the side of his body. Like he doesn't lean into Josh Hart. He just jumps, and Josh Hart kind of just hits him as he's trying to shoot. No call, and the game ends. Um, Kind of crazy because Jalen Brunson does literally the same thing all the time except worse. So, man, Tobias Harris, I saw him and he was like he was giving it to the ref walking to the tunnel. He was super upset. Shout out, by the way, Tobias Harris. Game one, I think he was really good. Then he had a couple bad games, but he did have a good Malik Beasley struggled all series shooting wise,
Yeah.
fortunately for them. Who else did I want to bring up? Um,
Tim Hardaway has been when he so usually they start Malik Beasley and they bring Tim Hardaway Jr. And
mhm.
when he's come on, he's actually made a couple really clutch threes. I remember game three, he was the reason why they were inching closer and closer.
Yeah.
He was like at 1.5 for 5 from three, and then eventually he was like 10 for 5. But there was a
Yes.
they got close.
Yeah, Cat has looked pretty good for the Knicks. He looks too big for Duran most of the time. Duran is pretty strong. He's just kind of skinny. Cat also has some clutch buckets to help the Pistons win today's game. I mean, the Knicks win today's game as well.
Yeah,
OG Anunoby has looked great. He looks like clearly the third best player on the team. He's even kind of dribbling it and getting into some pick and roll action himself. He's not just like a 3 and D shooter guy. So that's cool. He's been really good at defending. Mikal Bridges, I don't know what happened to him playing defense. I haven't seen it when I'm watching. I don't. He used to be that guy, but I don't know what happened.
yeah,
Um, yeah, it's been a good series, and I think the Pistons. If I had to take 100% and split it, I think the Pistons have been the better team, like 70% of the series, and they're down 3-1.
yeah,
So, I think I predicted Pistons in five. I mean, Knicks in five. But the Pistons have played like a team that could be up 3-1 easily.
yeah,
Just some end of the game didn't go their way. So we'll
yeah.
see if they can get another one.
Absolutely, yeah. And today it was only a 1 point game, and when that foul occurred and no call, and you mentioned Tobias Harris, also JB Bickerstaff was literally center court when as soon as like the final um buzzer went off,
Hmm.
just like screaming, literally. So I mean, like, I wonder if they'll get fined, but also like that was a foul. The broadcast was talking a lot about how they didn't call those fouls all game, and I somehow have a trouble believing that.
Yeah,
Um, no one wants to win off of off free throws at the end of the game, but if it's a foul's a foul,
yeah,
you know
but
what I mean?
but you also just can't let people get fouled.
Yeah, you gotta just let him. Yeah, Josh Hart definitely fouled him. He should let him just take the shot straight up, but he pushed him. So, anyways, Knicks are up 3-1, and we'll see if they can close it out in Madison Square Garden.
Yeah, we will see.
Yeah.
Last series in the East, Pacers Bucks 4-5 series, 2-1 right now. Game four is today, later today. Um, Damian Lillard, amazingly cleared of his blood clot, came back for game two and has played a lot of minutes in both game two and three. So it was only about 3 weeks, I think, was the total amount of time that he was out. And doctors were talking about how they've never seen this before. It's kind of this miraculous recovery. And I think a lot of it has to do with catching it early, getting on that blood thinning medication very quickly. I think even before he had a proper diagnosis. So very happy that happened. I mean, it's the same thing that ended Wemby's season. This is ended a SARS season last year. This is a scary thing. Ended Chris Bosh's career. So big of Damian Lillard too, and the medical staff over there to kind of figure that out. Um, Anyways, the actual series. Pacers won both games at home pretty easily. Dame came back. Giannis has been awesome. They've been basically doubling him every time he touches the ball anywhere inside the three-point line, and kind of forcing the others to try to beat them. And the others have not been great. Torian Prince, mm, not looking great. Kyle Kuzma, 24 minutes in game ones, didn't record a stat. Brother was just out there hanging with the boys on the court.
Dude, so funny.
he has looked really bad. And trading Chris Middleton, like I know Chris Middleton has been injured and not great or whatever, but like he's like feels like a heart and soul kind of guy. Um, so it sucks that Kuzma hasn't been able to return the favor. You wrote shout out Crazy Eyes. Do you want to speak a little bit on that?
Yeah, shout out Bobby Portis. I mean, he tied his playoff career high game two, I believe, even though it wasn't enough. And shout out to the announcers for saying when Bobby Portis screens you, you know you've been screened. For whatever reason caused
I'm
them to
glad
say
that
that.
we were both watching that you also heard that because I was like, yes,
You just
that
you
is how it goes.
just texted me when he screens you, you know you've been screened. It's like I was watching it too. I was like, why did they just say that? But yeah, I mean, yeah, Bobby Portis has been playing really well off the bench for the Bucks. He didn't play the end of the season because of that accidental taking the wrong like steroid or something.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
so but he came back, looks really good, but was not enough in game two to win. But game three was a different story.
Yeah, game three, Giannis, Gary Trent Jr. both had 37 points to beat the Pacers. They exploded in the third quarter. I think the Pacers were up by 8 or 10 or something like that at halftime, and then yeah, the Bucks just came out firing on all cylinders. Gary Trent looked like Steph Curry, just not missing threes, wearing the sports glasses. So we love to see a sports glasses success story in the NBA, our favorite.
Always.
So yeah, no complaints there from me. And then a little bit of news about the Bucks. Their GM John Horst, they agreed a contract extension with him after they lost game two. So after they were down 2-0, they said, you know what, we love what
Dude,
you're doing here.
dude, Kuzma's he actually scored a point this game. You're
it's
in, dude.
it's a questionable time to announce a contract extension.
Yeah.
Because I can't really see this team making a run. They don't have enough around Giannis and Dame, and I don't really see them having a way out or a way to fix that because they don't have a lot of assets to move around anymore. So
Yeah.
we'll
Also,
see.
I want to do mention that Brooke Lopez has basically been like a non-player this series. He's just
Miles Turner is just younger Brooke Lopez.
yeah, and just play him off the court basically. Brooke Lopez has been playing less each game, and then the games he plays less, the Bucks win. So maybe there's a formula there.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see with their personnel some success around Giannis at the five lineups. Get more AJ Green in there, maybe some Andre Jackson, some of those kind of younger wings, shooters, whatever you have,
Yeah.
instead of Brooke Lopez. And I couldn't even tell you who their backup center is supposed to be. Um, but he's probably not playing very much.
Yeah, I can't even think of one,
Like
honestly. I honestly can't.
I'm like, I
Yeah,
have
that's
no
crazy.
clue. I've watched like 2.5 games of three of the series, and I have no clue who their backup center is supposed to be.
Yeah. All right.
Whew.
We're gonna shoot over to the West. The
The
West,
West.
we have a little bit more to say, I think, because our teams are
Yeah,
currently fighting over there in this
they're battling.
dogfight that is the West. First series, let's get out the way. The Thunder, the first seed, they swept the eighth seed Grizzlies. Thunder blew out the Grizzlies' first two games. It was just total domination. It was like first game was almost they were up by almost like 60 at one point. It was
Marvin
just
Bagley hit a buzzer beater at the end of the third, and it brought the lead within 49.
hey, I mean
So,
every point counts. But yeah, that was crazy to see. And then the Thunder, the series went to Memphis, and actually Game Three, Grizzlies found a way to be up by 26 at halftime, and then the Thunder were like, no, no, oh, our bad, we're gonna win this game. And then they came back and won by six.
it's crazy.
Um,
It's a
it
crazy game.
is.
Alex
It is
Caruso.
shout out Alex Caruso, and then also it is important to mention that John Morant got
Uh,
injured during this game.
Doing a crazy move as John
Yeah,
Morant does.
as
Like
he
smashed
does.
his hip into someone spitting in midair. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, and that was, I believe, like at the beginning of the third quarter, right? Because then he was out for the whole second half, if I remember. I don't
Hmm.
think he was a part of this Thunder. Like he wasn't part of the Grizzlies going down. Like he wasn't really there to help out. Um, you already have it later, so I'll go to the game four. Game four, John Morant didn't play. He was on crutches.
Yeah.
Hopefully he I forgot. It's not a hip contusion. That was what Jimmy Butler has.
Yeah, it
Um,
was something with his hip. I don't know the exact specificity of it. I mean, he tweaked his ankle in the play-in and barely came back for the series. So just all the acrobatics he's doing up there
yeah, he's
sometimes don't pay dividends.
got to work on the endurance a little bit, a little of the strength training over the
Get
off
better
season.
bones.
Yeah, get better, dude. Get better. And then game four was actually really close. The Thunder pulled away by the fourth quarter, up by 10. Grizzlies found a way with like Jay Huff on the court and Luke Kennard.
Finally, more J
Yeah,
Huff minutes. Finally, what
yes,
we needed.
yes, Chick-fil-A legend Jay
Lo-
Huff.
Shout out J Huff.
Shout out Jay Huff, friend of the pod. Yeah, and they were able to tie it up, and Thunder were just able to. I mean, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander things.
Shea was doing some clutch things. Just, oh, I'm gonna break your ankles and shoot this mid-range jumper, and I'm going to make it because I shoot 60% from two for some reason.
Absolutely. And then also shout out J-Dub playing like a great series and Lou Dort playing phenomenal defense. But you have this written down and I want to shout him out. Incredible series from Scottie Pippen Jr. on the
Yeah.
Grizzlies. Uh, he scored 30 something in game four. He fouled out. So he
Hmm.
wasn't there at the end, but he was a huge reason why they were able to get back in this game and maybe steal a game from the Thunder. But he looked he's gonna be a great backup point guard. Maybe one day he'll be a starter on another team. But
Just like when the Grizzlies went on like that 22-2 run with Tyus Jones when John Morant was out a couple years ago.
hmm
Are they better with with Scottie Pippen as their point guard instead?
yeah, I also just want to say I wonder how if you're the
Lakers legend.
Grizzlies, yeah, if you're the Grizzlies, what you do to figure out. You have Desmond Bain, you have Jaren Jackson Jr., John Morant. That's like your core locked in. How do you build a team to go past the first round?
They don't. They're screwed. The
Yeah,
Grizzlies are
that's
screwed.
yeah. So it's like, what do you make like a giant trade and trade away some of these young guys for a superstar?
They're paying. I think they're about to pay Ja and Jaren the super max, and they're paying Bane the max. So they already have three guys making a ton of money.
Yeah.
And none of those guys are a guy. I thought Ja could be a guy. I was thinking about this the other day. I was going through every team, and I was thinking Ja's not as good as Shea. Ja's not as good as Steph. Ja's not as good as Luca. Ja's not as good as Ant. He's not as good as KD. Even it's not even in the playoffs. You
Yeah.
go to the East, I don't think he's as good as Tatum. I don't think he's as good as Donovan Mitchell. I don't think he's as good as who else is in the playoffs? Even like a
Not Trey Young. Never mind.
even like a Paolo. It's like there's a conversation.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know what they do because I don't think they have a guy, and I don't think that Jaren and I think like Bane and Jaren Jackson are both like secondary, tertiary guys, and Ja's like supposed to be your guy, but I don't think he's the guy. So I don't really
Yeah.
know what they do.
Yeah.
I
You just
mean, when you get
also
obliterated by the Thunder like this, it's like hopefully a wake up call. Like, wow, we actually need a lot more.
yeah, and it also doesn't help that he hasn't just been as reliable as you might have wanted a primary guy to be. He's suspended or he gets injured. So
Yeah,
you really need if he's your guy, you want him there 82 games of the season,
right.
you know. And I mean, maybe it's a maturity thing. We'll see what the Grizzlies do. It's a lot to talk about in the offseason for sure.
Yeah. Um, let's touch on the Rockets Warriors 2-7. We both predicted the Warriors would upset the Rockets. So far, they are up 2-1. Um, Game one, we just couldn't find a way to play offense in the half court. Jalen Green was horrible, abysmal, terrible. Then game two, turn it around, and Jalen Green had 38, looked like a freaking superstar. I was like, oh, this is awesome. This is who I needed. And then he disappeared again in game three. But we did manage to win game two. Jimmy went out with an injury. It was a really unfortunate series of events. Saw some discourse on social media about Amin Thompson doing it on purpose, and I was like, no, he did not. If you look at the replay, there's a lot of guys down there trying to get a rebound, and it's kind of like this domino effect. I think somebody kind of ran into Draymond Green, and then Draymond Green like used that momentum to kind of push Amin Thompson, and Amin was like not stable, so he fell over into Jimmy Butler as he was trying to get the rebound. Just unfortunate because he was kind of in the air and fell and landed in a weird way. Ended up being out for game three due to some like contusion stuff. Like you said, no, not supposed to be any long-term injury there for Jimmy. He's supposed to be good, just muscles and pain basically, but nothing broken or anything like that. Um, yeah, been a really physical series. Been throwing everything we can at Steph. The guy's ridiculous. I mean, the whole time I'm watching him play, just walking up in transition and shooting like 35-foot threes, and I'm like, yeah, that went in. Okay, awesome. Um, we're hounding him constantly. We're chasing him, and we just can't do anything about it. It's sad. Kuminga's been horrible. That's worth mentioning. He finally got to play, and he hasn't been very good. They brought Pat Spencer in. Um,
Dude, that's when I was like, what if the Rockets lose this game? This was game two. I was like, who in the hell is Pat Spencer?
yeah,
Like,
Guy Santos, Quentin Post, Pat Spencer, and we're losing games. We lost game three without Jimmy. It's sad.
yeah. I do want
Um,
to Quentin Post has been playing really well. He's been making the threes.
yeah,
Um
he's a stretch
he's
big for sure. He's
yeah.
not a guy that he has been getting rebounds, but his like interior game is not what he's known for.
Yeah.
And it's weird because we're supposed to be like that's kind of been the Rockets' identity the second half of the season. Steven Adams, Şengün playing on the court together, getting a lot of rebounds and stuff, and we haven't been taking advantage of that. In fact, the Warriors have been really good with Post, Looney, even Pods has been a pretty good rebounder for shooting guard. He's going to sit game two as well. It's another reason we won.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, he went out
yeah,
and came back in. I remember seeing that, yeah.
it's really been the Steph show, and then on offense, we don't have a guy. We definitely don't have a guy. We don't even have a John Morant level guy. Like we don't have a secondary guy. We just have a lot of role players.
Yeah.
Basically, Jalen Green, I think, is supposed to maybe be that, but he's often not. Um, love how Amin has been playing defense. His offense has been a struggle this series, though. Tari Eason has been great as well. We both love him. Şengün is kind of whatever. He has been amazing. He has had a great playoff series. And then aside from that, I think Fred and Dylan Brooks have actually both been pretty good. Um, I just don't like watching Dylan Brooks.
Yeah, Jabari coming off the bench is also he's been
Jabari,
doing
yeah,
pretty good, doing what he could. I
looking like
made
a
some
professional out there.
yeah, yeah. So respect that a lot too from his game. Um I Saul asked me a question and he wanted me to ask you this real quick. Do you
Okay, you
think
have my
at least
number, Saul.
no, I know, but he said to talk about it on the pod.
Okay,
So uh he asked, do you think, at least in recent memory, are this season's Houston Rockets the worst second seed in recent memory?
wow, what a question.
Yeah, I was like,
I
okay. I made a list of the second
was gonna
seeds,
say
and
I don't know it doesn't. I don't have all the brackets in my head.
yeah, I was looking at it, and what really pulled away, at least when I was looking at it, was that every other team that has been a second seed in the last, I did like just from like 2010 to now, is that there was a superstar on the team,
Hmm.
and or at least like some all-star caliber guys, and like yeah, we had Alperen Şengün, or the Houston Rockets had Alperen Şengün, but it's not the same level as some of these other teams. There's a lot of Spurs, a lot of Warriors, a lot of Raptors as a second seed, and
Hmm.
I don't want to say this year's Houston Rockets are the worst second seed because that's kind of a crazy statement to say, but they earned the second seed, and I think they're just really up against a really tough team. If there's against the Minnesota Timberwolves or against the Los Angeles Clippers. I think it's a different series for
Yeah.
sure. Um, but I don't think they're the worst second seed in recent memory. At least like it's not really worth trying to even like dissect that, you know?
Yeah, I mean they're probably up there. They're a young team. This team, I mean, I didn't have them high in my standings prediction for a reason. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think the lack of star is definitely relevant.
Yeah.
We'll
And
probably trade something stupid for Kevin Durant or something this offseason. It'll be awesome.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm looking at these like this second seeds. We got like Lakers in 2010, Thunder in 2012. I mean, that's like KD and all of them. Spurs, Thunder, Rockets, but that's with Harden.
Thunder went
Uh,
to the finals that year.
yeah, that was with yeah, and they're the second seed.
I can't be
So
the worst second seed to the finals.
no, I know. It's just, it's if I go back further, I'm sure we find something. But
Yeah.
for me, it's just they're young. They're young, and this is a great experience for them. So we'll see how they go. They're playing tomorrow, I believe. So,
Yes, sir.
um,
Let's get to
all right.
yours.
Oh God, I have to update these notes. I'm so upset. I have to update it. Lakers, Timberwolves. Timberwolves are up 3-1 now. We started potting right after the game.
Oh man.
We'll get into that in a second. So Timberwolves took game one thanks to 50% shooting from three. I believe it was 52% from three.
Wow.
Um,
Do you know
you
how
know
many?
how many they made?
Hmm.
Do you have the I don't know.
No, I don't know either. I
Oh,
was
I think
wondering.
it was like 16 to 25. It was like
Wow.
16 to 25. It was like a lot. And the
That
Lakers
is
were shooting like league average, but when they're shooting lights out. Also, shout out Jaden McDaniels. He had an incredible game one. He scored 30 points, I
He's had an
believe.
incredible series.
Game two, no, but he's playing incredible defense every game for sure.
Hmm.
Um, and you added this note. Yeah, so Anthony Edwards got fined game one because he said to some Lakers fans, which is ridiculous, he said, "My dick is bigger than yours," and also was like motioning and grabbing his.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe be a little bit more mature. Not super great. Also, to say just people on the sideline. Come on,
I
come on.
mean, I'm sure they were saying something too.
Yeah,
It was it wasn't unprompted. I'm sure.
I'm sure they're like
Uh,
Anthony Edwards. You're doing great. He goes, "My dick is bigger than yours."
though they said Anthony Edwards, your dick is small. He said
I do
actually.
declare this it's small. He goes, no, 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 it's bigger than yours.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, also it came out some information believe right after game one or but right before the playoffs started, the Lakers signed general manager Rob Pelinka to a contract extension. And they also granted him the title of president of basketball operation. Oh, after game one's loss. So it was after game one.
Yeah.
Um, so the timing
They
not
said you
great.
said okay to the Luka trade. You win.
Literally, like, oh, you picked up the phone when Nico Harrison called.
Right.
Like, game and also yeah, game one. I watched the whole thing. It was just after halftime, it was pretty close, but after halftime, the third quarter, Timberwolves pulled away, and Lakers couldn't really recover after that. Lakers took game two behind they really locked in on defense, and they also scored. I believe after the first quarter, Lakers were up 34 to like 12 or
Mm.
14. It was like a 20-point difference after the first quarter. Then after that, all the quarters were pretty even, but when you're already down 20 from the get-go, it's hard to make up for that. Jaden McDaniels had a bad offensive game, and we'll see there's a correlation with the wins when the Timberwolves win and him having a really good game
Yeah.
all around. Luka was incredible, game two. I can't remember his stat line exactly,
I think he had
but
like 25 in the first half or something. It
yeah,
was
that's exactly what it was. Yeah, he just played very, very well. Will also mention I think what's been lacking on the Lakers side is there's no third option that's really obvious. Austin Reeves is doing his best. Today he got three fouls in the first half with 0 points. He came back in the second half and he did what he could, but when you're out the first half, you can't really help the team out. And some people are trying. Rui's playing all right. Jackson Hayes why is he still starting? He plays 2 minutes and then they
But you
just
got to
like
play a center somewhere, man.
I know they're playing LeBron at the five and yeah. Well, let's talk about Game Four in a second because I have a lot to say about that. But
I wonder if Soul thinks this is the worst three seed in recent memory.
yeah, I mean. Again, that's such a ridiculous question to even think. But w when you have like a superstar like Luca or LeBron, it's hard to say
Or
no,
both.
but also it could be true. So, anywho, game three, Lakers lost. Even though LeBron played lights out, 38 points, Luca was so sick. I don't know if you were watching or saw like anything of this,
Hmm.
but he was just on the sideline, like literally hood on head, like he obviously was like shaking. He was just like had like a terrible stomach bug. JJ Redick said he was like throwing up all day. So the fact that he was out on the court is incredible. He only had 17 points, but I mean even just being out there, maybe being
A decoy.
like a decoy or scapegoat for like some plays. I commend that, but just wasn't enough. LeBron went in knowing he had to do really well, but yeah, Jaden McDaniels had an incredible game three. He defended really, really well, and he scored 30, and they won. And then game four, so it was a very close game. I gotta say, this is the Julius Randle game. He was incredible from the get-go. He scored like the first 9 points for the Timberwolves and
Hmm.
was leading them in scoring until Anthony Edwards decided to just start making everything from three in the second half. And Lakers were able to get the lead. They had a 12-point lead at one point, 10-point lead, but then fourth quarter came around. I think this was a big factor of why the game ended up this way. The entire second half, the same five Lakers were on the court the entire time.
Wow.
So LeBron played the entire time. Luca, Austin Reeves, Dorian Finney-Smith, Rui Hachimura. That was our five the entire time. It is
Tiring.
incredible, yeah, incredibly tiring. Also, really hard to win a game when you cannot trust one other person to come off the bench. Timberwolves they have a locked in rotation of like eight guys,
Yeah.
and you can just switch them out and bring them in. And even Mike Conley was like blocking people, even though he did scored no points.
Nas
Um,
Reed.
Nas Reed, sixth man of the year, sixth
He's
player of the
been
year.
great.
Sorry, playing incredibly well. I am not some of the officiating. I texted you in the beginning. It was very leaning very heavily toward the Timberwolves. Then the Lakers got some like favored calls. There was like a goaltending that was called that you look back wasn't goaltending, but
Mm.
it's like you try to like, at least make it even. And then toward the end, there was one very important call that Anthony Edwards kind of slipped and the ball went out of bounds, kind of like went off his knee,
Hmm.
and they Timberwolves challenged it, and you saw that like LeBron swiped down,
Hmm.
and to me it looked a lot like ball is part of the hand,
Yeah.
but the referees deemed it wasn't,
Illegal contact. Yeah, I was
which
surprised with that change. I thought when they challenged it, it was going to be stayed.
yeah,
I didn't think there was enough evidence to overturn the call or whatever they say.
that's exactly what I'm saying. So that because of that, the Lakers went down by three instead of just one.
Yeah.
And yeah, a lot of questionable like call. I think one of the last drives by Luca, Nas Reed was literally hooking him on the front, and there was no call. And it's just like I know it's playoff basketball, but if they called it earlier, you got to call it now. They
The NBA
didn't.
hates the Lakers.
Um, obviously they don't want the Lakers to lose, and I don't think there's some ulterior motive. The Timberwolves played amazingly well. I mean, they had players that weren't tired at the end, and I think that was it.
It's
That was it. I think it really
important.
comes down to that. It really comes down to fatigue, and the Lakers tried their best, and it was tough to see, but they did their best, and they're down 3-1 right now.
Is it
We
over?
will see what happens. I mean, I never like to say it's over, but it doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good.
Doesn't look good.
Could be over.
Could be over. So we will see. I will be watching game five, and I will hopefully not be sad after. We'll find out though.
I think it's important to mention a couple things too from my perspective. One of the
Yes.
reasons, this is a series that I picked in seven. I think you picked in six or seven as well, because we did think it was going to be close, and we both picked Lakers. I originally picked Wolves, and I swapped the Lakers. One of the reasons I swapped is because I thought Julius Randle would kind of be dead in the water, and he has not been that. He has been pretty good for the Wolves, and I think suffice to say there have been lots of moments in the series where Anthony Edwards looks like the best player.
Yeah.
He looks better than Luca and LeBron. I'm like, that's impressive. That's impressive stuff. So,
Yeah.
Not all the
I,
time, but there's sometimes where I'm like, that's the best guy in the court right now.
yeah.
Um,
I gotta say, huge props to Anthony Edwards and the confidence he's playing with. I'm so glad didn't get injured. There was a really scary call where there's a ball on the ground, and Anthony Edwards and LeBron both dived for it, and it looked like LeBron kind of like rolled over Anthony Edwards' knee. Thankfully, it doesn't seem like he got injured. I was able to finish out the game. So, definitely don't want to see any players get hurt like that. So, it's just a hard fought game, a hard fought series. We'll see how far it goes. Doesn't look good for the Lakers. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
okay.
Well, I will shout out Rui. Rui did his best. He was making his open shots and stuff down at the end at the game. So, shout out Rui Hachimura for doing his best.
Yeah. Um,
Let's
last
talk about
series, maybe the best series so far. Nuggets Clippers, another series that I picked in seven. I said Nuggets in seven. I thought the Clippers had a lot of momentum coming into the playoffs, and the Nuggets, they just fired their coach like, right before the playoffs, but they had Jokic, so like, oh God, it's hard to pick. It's lived up to the hype so far. It's been, for me, the best series to watch. Nuggets in game one went to overtime. Russell Westbrook, my heart and soul, did some terrible things, but also did some great things, and we'd love to see that. I think he got the ball with about 18 seconds left, and there was like, I don't know, 14 seconds maybe on the clock or something like that, shot clock. And he went and took a layup right away instead of wasting the time and missed the layup, by the way. And then the Clippers got the ball, called timeout, inbound, and he forced James Harden to turn it over by being right in front of the pass. And then he like kind of touched it, but then it bounced off Harden's fingertips and went out of bounds. And then he started screaming at the crowd, and then David Adelman started yelling at him to get back on defense, which was kind of funny. But love Russell Westbrook. Also hit some big threes,
hmm
big threes. Michael Porter Jr. was really bad. He got benched in this game for Russell Westbrook, so worth noting. Game two, Kawhi Leonard is back, baby. Cyborg Kawhi had 39, I think, on like some godly efficiency, like 12 of 15 or something like that. Like, it was just automatic in this game. He looked awesome, was playing awesome defense, and just kind of uh, just just beat the Nuggets at their own game down the
Yeah.
stretch, I think. And that game came down to the last shot. It was another like great close game.
Yeah.
Uh, Game three, only game of the series that hasn't really been worth watching. The Clippers destroyed the Nuggets. They looked awesome in this game. Honestly, all three of these games they look like the better team. But the Clippers only won two of the three. And then in the most recent game, another game very close. The Nuggets were up for a while, and then the Clippers in the second half started clawing back. They went on this big run, like 32 to 9 or something like that, like this insane run. Lots of threes being made by Norman Powell, Kawhi Leonard still looking awesome. And they got it all the way back. I think they took their first lead with like 4 minutes left or something like that. Um, Zubac ended up putting a putback in to tie the game with 8 seconds left. And then Jokic gets the ball in the inbound, takes this horrible three, like so far away from the goal, airballs it over, but Aaron Gordon runs in uncontested, jumps up, grabs the ball, dunks it in, and literally releases the ball from the fingertips of his right hand with like 0.001 seconds left. When you look at it, that looks like what happened. The ball's clearly in the cylinder, and he's not touching it anymore, and then the lights go off like right after he releases it. It was so close, very reminiscent of the DeAndre Ayton lob in the conference finals in 2021, I believe,
Against the Clippers, yeah.
against the Clippers. So Clippers have some bad luck with those. And this game also had like six technicals given right before halftime for a big little brawl that kind of busted out. It was stupid. Um, Aaron Gordon almost got ejected because he kind of accidentally punched somebody. He didn't mean to. He was kind of just flailing his arms and he hit Norman Powell right in the face.
Oh, jeez.
But they gave a technical to Gordon, Jokic, Christian Brown, Harden, Norman Powell, and another Clipper that I don't remember. There were six technicals, they all offset, so it
Yeah.
was whatever. But yeah, it was the stupid little thing. But another great game, great series has been really entertaining. I do think the Clippers have looked better than the Nuggets for the most part. but the Nuggets have stolen two of these games. Really, is what it seems like. So we'll see. Game five is back in Denver. So
Yeah. I feel terrible. I actually haven't watched any of these games really. I just watched like little bits here and there of like game two and game one, and that's it. So I'm definitely going to really try to catch the series more. Also, it's important. I think it's important to note that this is the first playoff series for the Clippers in the new Intuit Dome.
Mhm.
So congrats to the fans for having their team there. So
Yeah,
always fun to see. Can't wait for game five.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
yeah. Real quick, who do you think? Just based on the playoffs so far, do you still think Thunder Celtics is the likely finals matchup?
I think so. I think so. I mean, Cavaliers look incredible too.
Yeah,
It's tough for me. I mean, I know I had Cavaliers at first, you had Celtics, and I switched to Celtics,
yeah.
but I definitely still like the Thunder a lot. They've just looked so dominant.
The Thunder, I don't know
They're
how
so
they
deep.
don't. I don't know how they don't make it to the finals at this point.
They're so deep. Like I can
Because
run a
they're
nine
going
man
to play
rotation.
the winner of the slugfest that is the Clippers Nuggets, and then probably the Timberwolves in the conference finals. Probably,
I don't know. We'll
we'll
see.
see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, Thunder, they look amazing. Celtics, Cavs, maybe they have a great conference finals. That's what I'm hoping. Those are really the only three teams I think right now that I can see kind of winning it all. So
Yeah,
based
totally
on the
agree.
first round at least. So
Yeah,
maybe the
yeah.
Wolves. The Wolves have looked pretty good.
I like the Pacers a lot too. Every time I watch them, I'm like, I don't really see like a lot of weaknesses, but I think there's just still like not
They just
they're
don't feel
just
like
kind
they're
of
there.
right. They just kind of fall apart at some point. I mean, it's just I think it's because their star is young. I think Hallie's
Like
on the younger
like
side.
if you put the Pacers as the eighth seed in the West and they played Thunder, I feel like they would get swept.
Yeah,
So I don't know.
yeah,
It's tough.
yeah. Anyways, but yeah. I'm super excited to watch the rest of these games. We'll see what happens next. So far, only the Thunder have advanced. Could be anyone's game at this point, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Anyways, yeah. So, thanks for listening, and really can't wait to talk more playoff basketball. Hopefully, we'll have more. That was so close.
Hit the rim.
Damon took a shot and hit the rim. But yeah, thanks for listening. I hope you all are enjoying the playoff basketball as much as we are because it's what I look forward to almost every evening. So, thanks again for being here. This has been Two Man Game with Damon and Dom.
Buckets.